Good evening and welcome to our Wednesday, March 15, 2017 edition of the Government News Brief. In the news, Minister within the Ministry of Natural Resources says the syndicate initiative can aid in reducing trafficking in persons, hundreds of families to be housed in the first phase of the new housing program, and several Region 1 roads to be rehabilitated. These and other stories when the news returns. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. I am Renetta LaFleur. Here are the details. Due to increased reporting of trafficking in persons in the interior, Minister within the Ministry of Natural Resources, Simone Brooms, says the syndicate is one initiative which can further reduce instances of trafficking in persons. Tiffany Rodias tells us more.
Minister Brooms says that efforts will be intensified on the prevention of human trafficking in mining districts. The minister notes that trafficking, particularly of foreign nationals, is of concern since traffickers are devising new ways to avoid capture.
For example, by the time the minister is coming or the police is coming, the people who would have brought them here through the right process and wants to hold them hostage will say to them, we got to put you in a boat, we're going to remove you because if these people come, they will beat you up, they will imprison you. And so many different things.
Minister Brooms, who is a strong advocate against human trafficking, says she has seen increased reporting of cases of trafficking in the interior, which has led to some reduction of its occurrence. The minister is confident that the implementation of syndicates across mining districts will offer protection to foreign nationals and locals from exploitation.
It is something that we are going to be dealing with. And the mere fact that when you have the syndicates in the area, alcohol will not be allowed to sell there, trafficking in person, labor trafficking and all of that. In that area, that in itself will start to eliminate a lot of the activity.
The Ministry of Natural Resources is a part of the Ministerial Task Force on Trafficking in Persons. The Guyana government has a zero-tolerance approach to trafficking in persons. For the Government News Brief, Tiffany Rogers.
Members of the Guyana Police Force are among those targeted to benefit as 768 families are expected to be housed in the first phase of the implementation of government's new housing program. More in this story.
Minister within the Ministry of Communities Valerie Adams-Patterson and the team from the Central Housing and Planning Authority CHNPA today engaged police ranks stationed in Region 4 on the government's housing solutions for state employees. The sides met at the Guyana Police Force Officers Training Center at Camp and Young Streets, Evelary.
We have come to you today to share the vision of government, the new vision of this government, and to let you know that we are working on your behalf and we are working to ensure that each of you own your own home.
The minister told the ranks that the government will be maximizing the use of its available service lands to offer a range of housing solutions that will cater to their needs and those of other low, moderate and middle income status.
Our focus right now is to build duplexes and townhouses. So if in the past, by issuing one house lot to a person, and you had 3 house lots, you could only build 3 houses for 3 families. If we're doing duplexes and townhouses, we can now accommodate a larger amount of families.
Meanwhile, the ranks heard from Acting Project Director CHMPA Omar Narain that initially 265 buildings will be constructed and these will be divided into 768 units, each housing a family. Narain explained that each duplex will house 2 families and each townhouse 6 families.
Townhouses, the dimensions that we have in mind at the moment is 22 by 26. And for the duplex, the dimensions are 20 by 40. Both options, we have 2 bedrooms, inside toilet and baths, living room, dining room and kitchen.
The engagement with police ranks is part of an ongoing exercise organized by the CHNPA, working in collaboration with the Guyana Police Association. The exercise is in fulfillment of a commitment made to the Guyana Police Association to address with urgency the housing needs of the policemen and women. As per this commitment, CH&PA in 2016 met with ranks in Regions 3, 5, and 6 and allocated house lots at prices ranging from $92,000 to $1.5 million. For the Government News Brief, Delicia Haynes.
Traveling around Region 1 will soon become easier as the Ministry of Public Infrastructure prepares to undertake rehabilitation of roads across Birima-Waini.
Minister within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Annette Ferguson, says 6 lots in the Port Kaituma and Mabaruma areas will benefit from upgrades.
For Lot 1, we have the rehabilitation of Central Kaituma Waft Road to Old Road Junction, Port Kaituma. Lot 2, rehabilitation of Port Kaituma to Matthews Ridge, and this is phase 2. Lot 3, rehabilitation of Central Kaituma Catwalk Road to Oranuk, Port Kaituma. Lot 4, rehabilitation of Port Kaituma Road from Airstrip to Pittsburgh housing scheme. Lot 5, rehabilitation of Kumaka Junction to Waterfront, and this is just by the Market Road area, and this is in Mabaruma. And Lot 6, rehabilitation of Mabaruma Main Township Road.
The minister explains that the roads are expected to be completed by the end of 2017. She adds that some challenges, such as heavy rainfall, may delay works. The scope of works will see full rehabilitation of the roads using laterite, construction of culverts, and auxiliary road works.
Majority of these roads are actually laterite road. So, we would want to, I guess we'll be using the laterite material along with this stabilized material. So hopefully, I think those are the materials that would be in use to construct or repair the roads in those areas.
Minister Ferguson highlights that tenders were already out and all the necessary steps were completed. The ministry is now awaiting approval from the National Procurement and Tender Administration Board and Cabinet. She urges residents of Region 1 to continue to be patient.
I know that Port Kaituma especially, they would have suffered tremendously in the past. Their roads would have become impassable on a daily basis. I personally was in the area, I think sometime last year, and I recognized, I observed, I experienced what the residents there in Region Number 1 would have been going through. So all that I want to say to them in my simplest of words is just be patient.
Funding for these works is catered for in the 2017 budget under hinterland expenditure. A total of $2.32 billion was allocated for the continuation of road rehabilitation and construction in the hinterland. For the Government News Brief, Gabriela Patram.
Guyana's Firefighting Simulator now up to international standards. Gabriela Patram has the details.
The certification was given by Anglo Limited UK, an international company which designed this simulator. The equipment is located at Lenora Region 3, where the Guyana Fire Service has its training base. Chief Fire Officer Marlon Gentle says that the company recently visited Guyana and conducted 1 week of training with firefighters using the simulator before it was given international certification.
One has to understand that to train a firefighter, the only facilities other than him experiencing an actual fire for him to train on is to simulate fire conditions, and has to be done in a controlled environment.
The training simulator provides a safe training environment to learn ventilation techniques, recognize dangerous situations, and is intended to provide real-time firefighting and rescue experiences to ranks of the Guyana Fire Service. The Chief Fire Officer says that Anglo Limited UK will soon be returning to conduct a Trainer of Trainers program.
The next stage now is to conduct training at the Lenore facility, again utilizing some of the expertise from the UK to carry through with the second phase of these simulators, which is to train persons from the Guyana Fire Service to become instructors so that we could train our own people in the uses of these simulators.
According to Gentle, training using the simulator is not limited to members of the Guyana Fire Service. He notes that even members of the Caribbean firefighting fraternity are welcome to train at the facility.
We intend to use this simulator not only for members of the Guyana Fire Service, but also to extend it for usage for members of the Caribbean firefighting fraternity, as well as private sector groups, especially the industrial operations and also persons in the commercial and the manufacturing industries. We intend to carry these people through certain paces so as to ensure that they understand the basic rudiments of fire protection and fire safety within their own environment.
Additionally, the Chief Fire Officer says that persons from the maritime industry will also be undergoing training. For the Government News Brief, Gabrielle Patram.
The Pagwa Day beating of 2 men by several residents of Canal Number 1 has been condemned by the government. Paul McAdam tells us more.
Minister of Social Cohesion Dr. George Norton has condemned on behalf of the government the recent violence meted out to 2 men by several residents of Canal Number 1.
That particular incident, that is in the hands of the police, and we will we'll wait for that results. But like we did in the case of the incident that took place on the Essequibo coast, as the East Bank, where an alleged snatcher was beaten to death, we actually visited the community. There will be no harming us visiting Canal Number 1.
The minister adds that there are several sensitive areas and the ministry intends to concentrate on these communities. Consultations and training sessions have been conducted in around 30 communities across Guyana, he explains.
Only recently we had a situation in Bartik, for instance, where the little community of Akatash, which is just on the outskirts, had some difficulties. We were there on the spot, but we would also like persons who are directly concerned. If a situation is happening in a region, then we expect the regional authority to at least intervene and do as much as they could with whatever help they need, and we are here willing to provide that help.
The Office of Professional Responsibility is now conducting investigations into the wrongful beating of Damien Gordon and Ferdinand Beckles at Canal Number 1 Polo on the west bank of Demerara on Sunday night. The 2 men who were visiting friends in the area were severely beaten by several villagers who accused them of being thieves whilst hurling racial epithets at them. Paul McAdam for the Government News Brief.
We have come to the end of today's edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on GINA's website. GINA has an active Facebook page, and we encourage you to visit and like us so you can be updated as the news unfolds. You can also subscribe to our website and YouTube channel. Do join us again tomorrow for another edition of the Government News Brief. I am Renetta LaFleur. Thank you for watching.